SPG. There's a simple rule. It has to be brass and glass. No plastic, no plastic window, glass, whatever you want to call it, and no protective boot. Why? So first of all, I want it to be solid. So when I bang it into something, I want it to be metal, and the tempered glass is always more solid than the plastic. Especially as most of the plastic ones are just cramped. So I've seen a couple of these plastic glasses, so to speak, flying off when you put pressure on them, and it never happened to me with one with the tempered glass. And the protective boot, well, think about it. What is the part on the SPG that is worth protecting? Well, basically it's the glass. So if you put the boot over the glass, well, it doesn't work anymore. But the metal doesn't need protection. So when you look at SPGs that have these protective boots and you take them apart, usually there's a lot of dirt and grease and stuff and algae and whatever in between the SPG and this so-called protective boot, which in the end leads to faster corrosion and deterioration of the SPG. And the part where usually the bubbles start, so on the swivel where you can turn it, is covered, so you don't see these bubbles coming, and you realize that there's a problem when your SPG starts to turn into an aquarium and the water level rises. So I like to take all of this off, and now first of all, after the dive I dry it off and it doesn't corrode and it doesn't deteriorate. And the other thing is, if there's a tiny bubble coming, I'll actually see it and I know it's time to change the swivel O-ring, and I do not have water in my SPG. So that's the smarter way to go. We did a long one about knives, what to use and what not to use. I still like the very simple one, the cut-off steak knife thing. Actually, Dilson's selling them the way they should be. Otherwise, it's something you can easily do yourself. Just take an edge grinder and a small steak knife with a serrated edge all the way to the handle. Cut it off like 2 centimeters from the handle. File it nice and round so there's no tip, and you're good to go, and you have a €3 dive knife that is easy to replace if you break it or if you lose it. Super sharp, you cannot harm yourself when you put it back in the Cordura sheet. So that's still the ultimate dive knife in my opinion. And the other thing is something like an easy cut that is also on your belt next to your knife, where you can visually access it, where you can access it with both hands, and which is a great additional tool, so backup. And there's also things that are more easy to cut with a line cutter than with a knife. Instruments. Do we use dive computers? No. Do you sometimes see me with a dive computer? Yes, when I'm diving a rebreather, because the computer that I use has the nicest way of displaying the PO2, but that's it. What I usually use is just a bottom timer, and I use the Uvatech Squabro, I think it's called 330 or something like that, which is cool. I mean, it does exactly what it should. It gives me time and a depth, and that's all I need. I hate instruments that give me too much information. When I look at the instrument, I want to see my depth, basically, all my time. So that's 2 numbers. But some of these instruments, I mean, it's almost like looking on my smartphone. There's the news and the Facebook and the temperature and God knows what. It's just information I don't need. When I'm starting my ascent and I want to know with what kind of deco schedule to come up, I want to know my average depth, my time, and that's it basically. I don't want to look at 10 numbers and then figure out which one is the right one. And the other thing is, you can save tons of money by not investing in a dive computer. I know there will be a lot of negative comments, and you need it in safety and blah blah blah. There's one guy even dropping me a mail that is dangerous and an unforgiving thing to recommend people to dive without a computer. Well, I'm not recommending to dive without a computer. I'm recommending to dive with your brain switched on, and then you don't need a computer. But that's a different story that I do not want to discuss in this video. Compass. I personally love the old Sunto SK6, which is really hard to get. So you probably have to search eBay, and it's probably not a smart idea to tell you that, because you will all buy them and I don't get any. But that's actually the source where I got mine from. The reason I like them is they're really flat. So I don't like the new ones. I think it's called SK7 or something like that. It's a big thing, and I just don't like it. But again, personal. So I like these old SK7s. So if you find one, get it. It's an awesome compass, really nice and flat. It has the strap that you can pull tight. So even if you have a light flooding on your dry suit, you can close it a little bit tighter and prevent it from to become a major flood. Actually, that worked quite nice for me on a couple of dives. And yeah, check it out. Mask. Also very personal. Basically, it has to fit you. Two things. First of all, it should be no clear silicone. The reason for that is you don't want the reflections from the light, so you can focus on light communication. But it definitely doesn't have to be black. A lot of people, you probably realized in some of the last videos I was using a yellow mask, and obviously these comments were coming in like, how can you do this? This is not correct. Technical mask has to be black and blah, 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 blah. Nonsense. It doesn't have to be black. It just doesn't have to be clear. That's it. And I like the yellow one. So, and the other thing is, it's always nice to have a neoprene strap on it, because they do not tend to break that easy than the rubber ones. Obviously, the new silicone ones do not break either. I mean, if you take care of them and if you replace them at a certain time, it's fine. But then obviously there's no silicone ones with a nice ISE badge, so get a neoprene one with a nice ISE badge. Another thing is dive lights. That's actually a good one. It was interesting to see over the last 15-20 years how the dive light evolved. I mean, in the beginning it was this huge lead acid batteries with the halogen bulb, and then it became the HIDs with all these fragile, super expensive bulbs, and then the battery technology changed and the light canisters became smaller, which was good. And then came the switch to LED lights, which was even better because they're much more robust and the burn time was super duper. And so that's basically state of the art today. In fact, right now I can see the switch from the canister light to a light that is just on a Goodman handle without the cable and without the canister light. I mean, obviously for serious technical dives you will still use a canister light. I do that. What I use at the moment is an ammonite, I think radical, yeah, with a 16 ampere hour canister. Cool light, really bright, nice beam, tremendous burn time, but on a lot of dives I simply don't need it. It's just overkill, it's too much. And so what I really like, and I even use it for cave diving if it's not the super long dives, is the ISE alien light. So you've probably seen that. I think there was, I think I did a review video on that as well. It's 3 small lights on a Goodman handle, so you have triple redundancy, or you have 3 super bright lights with a real nice spot. It's great for traveling. You can put it in your hand luggage. It doesn't weigh anything. If one of them fails or floods or whatever, you still have 2 lights to go. Still 2 hours of burn time. are basically everything you need. So I think I dive this in 90% of all my dives, and only if it's like super deep, long stuff, I use the big one with the cable. So that's a tendency that I really appreciate. And yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, just scroll down in our YouTube channel, and you will find the review of the Alien Light. It's actually pretty cool. Well, so far I think that's it. If there's anything else you wanna know, or the specific items where you have questions, just comment on that video or drop us a mail. Otherwise, thanks for watching.